Before we jump into the video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel down below. Subscribing to my channel gives you the latest content of repairs that come through the shop on a daily basis. On today's video, I'm going to be replacing the piston and the cylinder on a Husqvarna 562 XP Mark II chainsaw. As you can see, there's quite a bit of scoring on the piston here, and it did transfer onto the cylinder, so we are going to be replacing both of those parts. In the video, I'm going to show you guys how I tear everything off, clean it up, put it back together, and get the saw running again. So with that, let's jump right into the video and I'll show you guys how it's done. Start by removing the two screws that hold on this air filter housing. Next, disconnect the air filter housing to expose the carburetor. Disconnect the wiring harness on top of the carburetor. Go ahead and dump the fuel before you remove the carburetor. If you disconnect the fuel line from the carburetor while it's pressurized, you're going to shoot fuel all over the place. Disconnect the throttle cable. Disconnect the fuel line. Make sure you're using a rounded end tool so it does not puncture the fuel line. Now disconnect this wiring harness so that way you can remove the carburetor. Go ahead and remove this plastic piece. There's two screws, one on each side. And for some reason in their infinite wisdom, Husqvarna decided to engineer this with a different size screw. Remove all four bolts to take off the cylinder. The last thing you need to disconnect is the AV spring on the side of the cylinder. Here's a look at the carburetor. It's pretty filthy, so we're going to disassemble this and run it through the ultrasonic cleaner. Anytime I have a carburetor off a unit, I always make sure I disassemble it and clean it. It doesn't really take a whole lot of work, but that way I know that there's nothing going on inside the carburetor. Here's a look at the piston and cylinder kit from Husqvarna. This is going to include a new needle cage, as well as two circlips, a gasket, and a wrist pin. Before we install any new parts, we've got to take off the old piston. Right here, I'm removing the circlip with this little pointed end tool. Now I'm pushing the wrist pin through the other side so I can take the piston off. Here's a look at the scoring on the exhaust side of the piston. It was causing the ring to seat, so that way it was getting blow-by on the piston, causing the non-run issue. This piston hasn't seen much wear. The machining marks were still on the air intake side. Before you do anything, make sure you put the gasket in there first. You do not want to have to come back and put this in later. Now I'm going to lubricate the new needle cage. I'm going to use steel multi-lube grease to do this. If you don't have steel multi-lube, you can use any high temperature grease. Now I'm going to install the piston. If you notice on the piston, there's an arrow that always goes towards the exhaust side. One of the circlips is already installed at the factory, so I do not need to put one in there. I'm going to go ahead and install this on there and install the wrist pin. I'm going to use some press fluid to lubricate up the wrist pin. You can use any lightweight oil. This just makes it easier to install the wrist pin, so that way you reduce the friction. Once the wrist pin's installed, now I'm going to install the circlip on the other side. I have a circlip tool right here. It's got a magnetic end. I'm going to press the circlip into this cone-shaped piece, and once it's down in there, I'm going to flip it over where the rounded side can push through the circlip. Steel makes this tool. They come in 10, 11, and 12. The circlip was a 10. You can get these at your local steel dealer. They're about $30-some a piece. They work like a dream every time. I just go back and double check with the screwdriver to make sure it's seated in properly. If you notice that red plastic piece under the piston, that is going to be a piston block. Before I install the new cylinder, I am going to reattach this manifold to the cylinder so that way I can access the screws. If you notice what I'm working on now are these two stupid little nuts that keep falling out of place. These are used to tighten down the carburetor screw. This is probably one of the most poorly designed Husqvarna aspects that I have ever seen. I absolutely abhor dealing with these, but they are part of the process. And just know that if they fall out, you get everything assembled, you're going to have to disassemble everything to put them back in. Make sure to pay close attention once the manifold's in place that these nuts are still sitting where they're supposed to be. Attach the manifold to the new cylinder with 4 screws. Apply press fluid to the top of the piston and the ring so that way the cylinder slides through easily. This cylinder has a single ring. Notice this little dot right there. That is where the gap in the ring needs to go. If you compress your ring over top of this little stud, it will end up snapping it. Now use a ring clamp to compress the ring. With the ring compressed, lightly do some down pressure with the cylinder till it slides over top of the ring. As the cylinder slides over to the piston, release pressure on the ring clamp. Remove the ring clamp and block and push the cylinder down the rest of the way. Reinstall the 4 cylinder bolts. Make sure you're lining the holes with the gasket so that way you're not damaging it. Lightly put them in, just enough to get them started, and once everything is threaded in all the way, then you can go ahead and tighten them down. Now I'm going to reinstall the muffler and the muffler shield. Make sure that you guys are threading the 2 screws into the shield so that way you don't have to line the holes. And then once you get this set into place, put the 2 bolts in the front and then go ahead and tighten everything down. Reconnect the fuel line to the bottom of the carburetor before you install it, and then we're going to reinstall the throttle cable. Reconnect the wiring harness. Install the plastic plate and secure it with the 2 screws. Now I'm going to install the air filter housing and hook up the 2 fuel lines to the purge bulb. Reattach the bottom to these 2 rubber mounts. Install the 2 screws in the back, make sure they go all the way to the front, and also make sure that they're threading into the nut. Let's reinstall the air filter and give her a try. So we got the piston, the cylinder replaced, got the carburetor tore apart, cleaned out, all the plastic parts cleaned out, the housing, the muffler area, all cleaned out. I replaced the spark plug. The spark plug is a Chinese knockoff of NGK spark plug. It's a HQRP, whatever that is, CMR6H. So only use NGK, only use Bosch, or only use the manufacturer plugs. This project wasn't too bad, took about an hour to do. I go through and thoroughly clean everything, so that takes a little bit of extra time. And there is one thing that I always get hung up on these Husqvarna parts. It's that stupid little square nut that's on the back of the manifold area. It's the most poor design I've ever seen, and it's on specifically Husqvarna chainsaws. That stupid little nut will fall out all the time, so make sure when you guys are putting this together that you have the nuts in place back there before you assemble the carburetor and everything else. Otherwise, you won't find out until you go to put the screws in that there's nothing to screw to. And if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that this is a reoccurring problem with Husqvarna chainsaws. Very poorly designed. So hopefully it's something that they change in the future. If you guys found this video helpful, make sure you guys drop a like down below and subscribe to my channel. On my channel, I've got lots of repair videos and equipment that comes through the shop on a daily basis. I've got tools, tips, and tricks that I use to fix the customer's equipment and get it right back out the door. I also have new product alerts as well. And don't forget to check out our Saturday night Wrench and Ramble show. It's going to be Shop Talk with myself and Kirk. So if you guys haven't checked that out already, make sure you guys do. 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. And make sure you guys check out the description down below. In the description, I will put tools, I will put parts on my Amazon affiliate links. That's a great way to support the channel if you want to do so. Otherwise, it's a great place to find some tools and find the relevant parts to your repair. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day.